When kindness began with silence, the night before Ana de Armas's birthday was quiet, almost too quiet. She sat near the large window of her apartment in Los Angeles, staring at the lights of the city below. Her phone kept buzzing with birthday, wishes arriving early from friends across the world. Yet her heart felt strangely heavy. She had been working without pause, her days filled with scripts, interviews, and long hours on film sets. The world saw her as bright, confident, and strong, but inside she felt the quiet loneliness that comes when fame builds walls instead of bridges. She whispered to herself, "I do not need anything expensive tomorrow. I only wish for someone to remind me that I am seen not as a star, but as a person." Those words hung in the air like a prayer. Across the city, Keanu Reeves sat in his own small home. Though known to millions as a great actor, his life remained simple. He carried with him stories of loss, resilience, and survival. That night, he had heard through a mutual friend that it would be Ana's birthday. Keanu's mind returned to the times he had seen her smile on set, not the smile for the cameras, but the small, gentle one she gave when someone showed kindness. He thought, she deserves more than staged gifts or empty greetings. She deserves a moment of truth. The next morning, Ana woke early, telling herself she would not expect surprises. Her team had planned a gathering later, but she already knew how those events often went. Flashy, filled with noise, and somehow hollow. She made coffee, sat in her kitchen, and let the day begin. Then, the unexpected knock on her door came. When she opened it, Keanu stood there, holding nothing grand, only a small paper bag. There were no cameras, no reporters, no announcement. It was just him, humble as always. Ana froze for a moment, unsure if it was real. "Happy birthday," he said softly, almost like he feared breaking the silence of the morning. He handed her the bag. Inside, she found a book, old and worn, with pages that smelled of time. It was a collection of poems about resilience and hope. On the first page, he had written a simple line, "To remind you that you are more than your roles, more than the screen. You are someone whose kindness lights the world." Her eyes filled with tears, not because of the gift itself, but because of the thought behind it. She whispered, "No one has ever given me something like this." Keanu smiled gently. "Sometimes the smallest things carry the deepest weight. I know how it feels when the world forgets to look at your heart." Ana felt her chest tighten. She had expected a lonely morning, but now the day had changed. Yet at the same time, questions rose inside her. Why would he go out of his way for her? What did he see in her beyond the image that everyone else saw? The air between them grew heavy with unspoken feelings. They sat together in her living room, coffee mugs warming their hands. Keanu shared stories about his own struggles, about nights when silence was his only companion. Ana listened, realizing that behind his calm face were scars deeper than the world would ever know. She said quietly, "Keanu, people think I am strong, but sometimes I feel like a child lost in a big world." He nodded. "Strength is not about never feeling lost. It is about choosing to walk, even when the path is unclear. You are walking, and that is enough." The words hit her like light breaking through a storm. She felt seen, understood in a way she had not felt in years. Outside, the city kept moving, unaware of the small scene unfolding inside her apartment. But for Ana, it was not just a morning. It was the beginning of a story that would stay with her for life. A story of kindness, humility, and the power of one soul to touch another at the right moment. She looked at him with gratitude, yet also with a new kind of fear. What if this moment was only a passing kindness? What if the world outside would soon swallow it? But Keanu's silence was steady, his presence calm, as if to tell her without words that true kindness does not disappear. That morning, the story of her birthday began, not with parties or glitter, but with a simple gift that carried more weight than gold. The silence that carried weight. The day moved forward, but Anna felt as if time itself had slowed. The book rested on her lap, its pages calling to her like an old friend. She kept looking at the handwriting inside, the simple words Keanu had written, and every time she read them, her chest grew warmer. Keanu sat across from her, quiet, drinking his coffee. There was no pressure in his presence, no need for conversation to fill the silence. Anna realized that this silence felt different. It was not empty. It was full, alive, and comforting. She thought to herself, how rare it is to sit with someone and feel safe in the quiet. But as the hours passed, something inside her began to stir. She wanted to ask him more. She wanted to understand why he carried himself with such humility, why he seemed to walk through the world without the arrogance that fame often brings. "Keanu," she finally whispered, her voice soft. "You could have sent a simple message. Why did you come all the way here?" He looked at her, his eyes calm, thoughtful. "Because messages fade. A moment like this stays. I know what it means to feel alone on days that should feel full. I did not want you to feel that way." Anna felt her throat tighten. She remembered her last birthday, a room full of people, gifts, and lights. Yet none of it had touched her heart. She had smiled for the cameras, but when the night ended, she cried in her room alone. "You are right," she said, her voice shaking. "Sometimes the days that should feel special hurt the most." Keanu nodded slowly. "I have been there too. I have known loss on days that were meant for joy. I learned that true kindness does not need a stage. It only needs a heart." Those words echoed inside her like a song. She realized he was not speaking from a place of pity, but from experience, from a life that had walked through fire and still found a way to offer warmth to others. The more they talked, the more layers unfolded. Anna shared stories she had never told anyone before. The nights she doubted herself. The times she looked in the mirror and wondered if people loved her for who she was or only for the characters she played. Keanu listened with an attention so deep it felt like a gift in itself. He did not interrupt. He did not try to fix her. He simply gave her space, and in that space, she felt her walls breaking down. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was her team, reminding her about the evening party they had arranged. Her stomach tightened. She did not want to go. She did not want to put on a mask again. She looked at Keanu and said softly, "I am supposed to be at a party tonight, but the truth is, I don't want to go. I don't want another night that feels fake." He placed his cup down and spoke gently. "Then don't go. The world will always expect something from you, but sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to choose peace instead." His words hit her like a quiet storm. No one had ever told her that before. People always pushed her to show up, to smile, to perform. And now, here was someone reminding her that she had the right to step away. She laughed softly through her. Tears. "If I do not go, they will be upset." Keanu leaned forward, his voice steady. "Sometimes upsetting others is the only way to protect your soul." Anna felt as though a heavy chain around her heart had loosened. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and made her choice. "I will not go. Not tonight. Tonight, I will live as myself." The evening fell quietly. Outside, the city grew brighter with neon lights, but inside her apartment, the glow came from something softer, something real. They cooked a simple meal together, nothing fancy, only pasta with a few vegetables, from her fridge. They ate it at the table, laughing at small mistakes and stories that did not need to impress anyone. Anna thought to herself, "This is what I wanted. Not the stage, not the spotlight. Just truth, just kindness." But beneath the laughter, a question lingered in her mind. What did this moment mean for her? What did it mean for them? And most of all, why did she feel like this birthday was the beginning of something much bigger than she had ever imagined? The night ended with them, sitting again by the window, the city stretching endlessly before them. Keanu looked at her and said softly, "Anna, remember this. Birthdays are not about how many people celebrate you, but about how deeply you allow yourself to be seen. Tonight, you were seen." Tears slipped down her cheeks, but they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of release, of healing. She knew then that this birthday would live inside her forever, yet she also knew that kindness this deep always carried weight, and with that weight came the unknown. The shadow behind the light the morning after her birthday, Anna woke with a strange mix of peace and fear. Peace, because the night with Keanu had been unlike any she had ever known. Fear, because deep inside she wondered if it had only been a dream, something too fragile to last. She walked into her living room and found the book still resting on the table. The sunlight touched its pages, making the words shine softly. She opened it again, rereading his note. The weight of his handwriting made her heart tighten. She whispered, "This cannot be forgotten." As she sipped her coffee, her phone buzzed again. This time it was not birthday greetings, but angry messages from her team. "Where were you last night?" One message read. "Do you realize how bad this looks? People expected you." Another wrote. Her chest sank. She could almost hear the disappointment in their voices. The world she lived in was not kind to those who chose silence over spectacle. For them, last night was a mistake, but for her, it had been salvation. Just then, another knock came at the door. Her heart skipped. When she opened it, Keanu stood there again, holding 2 cups of coffee. He smiled gently, as if he already knew the storm brewing inside her. "Bad messages?" he asked. She nodded. "They are upset. They think I ruined something important." Keanu walked in, set the cups down, and said calmly, "What you did was important. Not for them, but for you. Remember that." His voice gave her strength, but it also scared her, because the more he spoke like that, the more she felt herself leaning on him, needing him. And with need came danger. Later that day, they took a walk through a quiet park, far away from cameras and noise. Children played, birds sang, and for a moment the world felt normal. Anna laughed more freely than she had in months. Keanu watched her, and though his smile was calm, his eyes carried something deeper, something heavy. She noticed and asked softly, "What is it?" He hesitated. "I am glad you found joy yesterday, but I must warn you, not everyone will understand. Kindness in a world of pride often looks strange. People will question it. They will question us." Her heart jolted. "Us?" He looked at her, steady but gentle. "Yes, because whether we like it or not, yesterday connected us. And the world loves to pull apart what it cannot explain." His words echoed inside her long after they left the park. That night, alone in her room, she replayed everything: the gift, the silence, the comfort, the warning. She realized that Keanu was right. The world outside their quiet moments was loud, unforgiving, always hungry for stories it could twist. The next day, the noise arrived. Headlines appeared online. Anna skips birthday event. Insiders confused. Whispers spread that she was difficult, unpredictable, even ungrateful. She felt her chest tighten as she read them. Her phone rang again. Her agent's voice was sharp. "Anna, what were you thinking? People are asking questions. You need to explain." Anna sat in silence, unable to answer. The truth was too simple for them to accept. She had chosen kindness, peace, and truth over performance. but the industry did not celebrate that. Later that evening, Keanu visited once more. He found her sitting by the window again, tears in her eyes. Without words, he sat beside her. After a long silence, she said, "They are tearing me apart, all because I chose one night of honesty." Keanu's voice was calm, but firm. "Let them talk. Storms pass. What matters is that you did not betray yourself." But even as he said it, she knew the storm was not just passing. It was growing. Her choice had drawn lines between her and the world that made her. In that moment, she realized something frightening. Her birthday had not just changed her. It had set events in motion. Events that would test her career, her friendships, and even her bond with Keanu. Yet somewhere in the shadows of fear, a quiet flame burned. It was the flame of resilience, lit by his kindness, and it refused to go out. When the world began to notice, the storm did not wait long. Within days, Anna's choice to skip the party became more than gossip. It became news. Reporters surrounded her home, cameras flashing, voices shouting questions she did not want to answer. "Why did you not attend? Is something wrong with your team? Are you hiding something?" Every shout felt like a stone thrown at her. She closed her curtains, trembling inside. Her phone did not stop ringing. Her agent's voice grew sharper with each call. "Anna, you cannot hide. You must control the story before it destroys you. If you do not speak, others will speak for you." Anna sat in silence, holding the book Keanu had given her. The words inside reminded her of strength, but strength felt heavy when the world pushed against her. That evening, Keanu arrived again. He had seen the headlines, but his face remained calm. He carried no gifts, no distractions, only his presence. "They will not stop," Anna whispered. "They want answers I do not have. All I wanted was peace, but now there is chaos." Keanu sat beside her, his voice steady. "Chaos always follows truth, but truth also creates freedom. You have to decide which matters more, the comfort of pleasing them or the freedom of being yourself." His words gave her courage, but also fear. Freedom came with cost, and she knew the cost might be her career. The next morning, when she stepped outside, the reporters were waiting again, but this time, Keanu walked with her. His quiet presence made the noise soften, if only a little. The cameras flashed, but he did not flinch. He walked with her as if protecting her from a storm. But the storm only grew stronger when pictures appeared online. Photos of them together, walking close, sitting in the park, leaving her apartment. Rumors spread quickly. Anna and Keanu? Hidden relationship? Birthday scandal or secret love? Her team called again, panicked. "This is worse than before. They think you are hiding something romantic. This will ruin your image, Anna. You must fix this." Anna's hands shook as she listened, but inside, she asked herself a question she had never dared before. Why is kindness a scandal? Why is truth a crime? When Keanu visited later, she showed him the headlines. His eyes softened, but his voice carried quiet strength. "Let them talk. The world always builds stories from shadows, but shadows do not erase the light." She looked at him, torn between gratitude and fear. "But what if they destroy me? What if I lose everything I worked for?" Keanu paused, then said something that cut deep. "Then you will find out if what you built was real or only fragile. The world may take roles and fame, but it cannot take who you are. That is yours." His words struck her like thunder. She realized he was not trying to comfort her with sweet lies. He was giving her truth, even if it hurt. That night, Anna could not sleep. She walked around her apartment, looking at the city below. She thought of her years of struggle, of how hard she had worked to stand where she stood. Could she really risk losing it all for the sake of one choice? One moment of honesty? One friendship built on kindness? Her thoughts twisted in her mind, pulling her between fear and courage. But as the dawn broke, one thing became clear to her. The path she had stepped onto with Keanu was no longer something she could turn away from. His kindness had opened a door inside her heart, and behind that door was not just peace, it was change. Change scared her, but it also called to her. When trust was tested, the storm outside did not fade. Each day the noise grew louder. Every website, every magazine, every talk show seemed to speak her name. Some called her careless, some called her ungrateful, and others whispered about Keanu, twisting their quiet moments into scandal. Anna's team grew restless. One evening, her agent arrived at her apartment uninvited. He walked in with sharp eyes and a voice that cut through the air. "Anna, this must stop. Your image is falling apart. The studios are watching, and if they think you are reckless, they will not hire you again. You must distance yourself from Keanu before it is too late." Her heart stopped. Distance myself? For what reason? He has done nothing wrong. The agent's tone hardened. It does not matter. Perception is everything. He is older, he has his own shadows, and the world is already making stories. If you continue this, you risk everything. Is his company worth your career? Anna's throat tightened. The question burned inside her. Was kindness worth the price of everything she had worked for? That night, when Keanu visited, she could not look at him the same way. The agent's words echoed in her mind. Shadows of doubt wrapped around her heart. She finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Keanu, do you realize what is happening? They are saying things about us, twisting everything. I am scared. I do not want to lose everything I built." Keanu listened quietly, his face calm but his eyes heavy. After a long silence, he said softly, "Anna, I never asked you to choose me over your life. I only wanted to give you truth, even for one moment. But I cannot tell you which price to pay. That choice is yours." His words broke her, because in that moment, she realized he would not fight for himself. He would not beg her to stay close. His kindness was not possessive. It was free. But freedom felt heavier than chains. In the days that followed, the pressure grew unbearable. Her team pushed her to release a statement. They even drafted one for her. "I regret disappointing my fans. My personal choices have been misunderstood. I want to make clear that my friendship with Keanu Reeves has been taken out of context." When she read those words, her chest ached. It was a betrayal of the truth she had lived on her birthday. But her team insisted, "Sign it, and the storm will end." Anna sat alone with the paper that night. Her hands shook as she held the pen. Signing would protect her, save her career, quiet the world. But it would also erase the meaning of everything Keanu had given her. As she struggled, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Keanu. Only 4 words. "Do what feels true." Tears blurred her eyes. He was giving her the freedom to decide again. He was not holding her. He was letting her choose. With trembling hands, she put the paper aside. She could not sign it. Not because she was fearless, but because her soul screamed that betraying kindness was worse than losing fame. The next day, she told her team, "I will not lie. If the world wants to see scandal, let them. But I will not deny the truth." Her agent's face turned cold. "Then you are destroying yourself," Anna whispered back. "Maybe. But at least I will not destroy who I am." Yet even as she said the words, fear clawed at her heart. What if her agent was right? What if she had just thrown away everything she had worked for? The path she had chosen was filled with shadows, and now there was no turning back. When everything broke, Anna's refusal to sign the statement spread quickly through her team. They had expected her to surrender, to bend under pressure. Instead, she stood firm, and that act of defiance created cracks inside the walls around her. Few days later, she discovered something that shook her. One of her closest team members, someone she had trusted for years, had leaked private messages to the press. The world now saw fragments of her conversations, twisted out of context, painted as arrogance and pride. The betrayal hit her harder than the headlines. She had welcomed these people into her life, allowed them to guide her, trusted them with her secrets. And now, one of them had sold her pain for their own gain. Her phone rang again. This time it was not her agent, but a studio executive. His tone was polite but cold. "Anna, until this storm clears, we are putting your projects on hold. We cannot risk association with controversy." Those words crushed her. Years of struggle, endless nights of hard work, all suddenly paused, not because of failure in her craft, but because of the truth she had chosen to protect. That night, she sat in darkness, her apartment silent except for the sound of her own broken breathing. She whispered to herself, "Was I wrong? Was kindness too heavy to carry?" Then came the knock at her door. Soft, familiar. When she opened it, Keanu stood there. But this time, she could not welcome him with calm. She broke down in his arms, her tears falling uncontrollably. "They betrayed me, Keanu. Everything is falling apart. I might lose everything." He held her, his voice low and steady. "Let it fall apart. Sometimes things must break before truth can stand. What is built on lies cannot last. What is built on truth may bend, but it does not break." She pulled away, her voice desperate. "But what if truth costs too much? What if I cannot survive this?" Keanu looked at her, his eyes full of both sorrow and strength. "Anna, I have lived through loss deeper than careers, deeper than fame. I know what it means to lose everything. But I also know this. When all is gone, the only thing that remains is the heart. If you keep that alive, you have not lost." His words were heavy, but they carried fire. They sat together for hours, her tears slowly fading into silence. She realized something in that moment. Keanu was not promising her safety, not offering to fix her world. He was giving her something far greater, truth and presence. But as dawn approached, another fear grew inside her. If her career collapsed, if the world rejected her, would Keanu still remain? Or would even this kindness fade when the weight grew too heavy? She did not ask him out loud, but the question burned in her chest, haunting her like a shadow. And for the first time, she felt the edge of doubt touch even the bond that had kept her alive through the storm. When truth became light, the days that followed were the darkest Anna had known. Projects slipped from her hands, headlines grew harsher, and whispers turned into cruel voices. Everywhere she looked, the world painted her as ungrateful, reckless, even selfish. She spent nights awake, staring at the city lights, wondering if her choice to protect kindness had destroyed her life. Her heart whispered yes, but her soul whispered no. One evening, unable to carry the weight anymore, she called Keanu. "Meet me," she said, her voice shaking. They met in the same quiet park where they had once walked peacefully. But this time her eyes were swollen from tears. She looked at him and said, "I cannot do this anymore. Maybe they are right. Maybe I should have signed. Maybe I should have lied. I cannot fight the world, Keanu. I am not strong like you." He looked at her for a long moment, then spoke gently. "Anna, strength is not about winning against the world. It is about refusing to betray yourself, even when the world turns away. You have already shown more strength than you know." She shook her head. "But I have lost everything." He placed his hand over hers, steady and warm. "No, Anna. You still have the one thing they cannot touch, your truth. And that is the foundation of everything worth keeping." Those words sank deep into her. But what broke her finally were his next ones. And if the world leaves you, I will not. Because kindness is not about moments. It is about staying. Tears poured from her eyes. Not the tears of defeat, but the tears of release. The kind that come when a soul realizes it is not alone. In the weeks that followed, something began to shift. While the headlines still burned, people also began to notice something else. Ordinary fans, strangers from around the world, started writing to her. Messages filled her inbox. Thank you for being real. You gave me courage to say no when everyone expected yes. Your honesty reminded me that I am not alone. Slowly, the noise of hate was balanced by the voices of gratitude. She realized something powerful. The world that mocked her was not the whole world. There were people who saw her truth and found light in it. Her career did not recover overnight. Some doors remained closed, but new ones opened, smaller, quieter, but more meaningful. She began choosing projects that reflected her heart, not just her image. She began speaking openly about pressure, loneliness, and the courage it takes to stand against lies. And through it all, Keanu remained. Never loud, never demanding, always present. His kindness became a steady flame in her life, not burning, brightly for show, but glowing silently, guiding her through the shadows. One evening, years later, as they sat by the window again, watching the city below, Anna held the old book he had given her. She looked at him and whispered, "That birthday changed everything." He smiled softly. "No, Anna, it only revealed who you already were. You just needed to see it." She leaned back, tears in her eyes. But this time they were not tears of pain. They were tears of peace. The world outside still chased noise and glitter, but inside her heart, truth and kindness had built a home. And in that home she finally understood. Fame may fade, careers may rise and fall, but kindness leaves, a mark that nothing can erase.